Good morning. Welcome to students, faculty, and staff, and Godspeed as we prepare to write the 136th chapter in the story of this extraordinary school. I am so grateful, after months of anticipation, that this day and the opportunity that it presents are finally here. What will this chapter bring? Who will be its leaders? And what lessons will we learn? The answers rest with all of you, the builders and makers, the authors of this particular moment in a legacy dating back to 1883. A tale that continues to shape the leaders of our city, our nation, and our world. Thanks to all of you in the community who have extended a warm welcome to me and my family over these past few months. Danica, Colette, Cannon, Rooney, and Roland and I are happy to be here at Shady and call Pittsburgh our home. It is the first day of school in the Griffith house as well, with both Colette and Cannon happily starting at Country Day School. Like the two of them, I am eager to see our new community in action and start building the friendships that last a lifetime. Soon after being announced as the school's next president, I had an opportunity to visit the senior school and sit down for lunch conversation with a small group of senior school students. After some initial introductions and small talk, I threw out what I thought was an important question for me to consider as I prepared for the role. What do you think students will need most from me as president? Without hesitation, Aaliyah responded, visibility. We want to see you. Well, Aaliyah, I hope my outfit inspires confidence, that I've heard you loud and clear. I recognize that wearing such threads on my first day as president is likely to raise a few questions. So I thought I would answer the most obvious one directly. Where can I buy a tuxedo like that? Well, after wearing this getup for the past 45 minutes or so, I encourage extreme caution if considering a similar purchase. You would think $49 could get you the finest of available fabrics. But right now I am suffering from what I could only refer to as unbearable itchiness and an almost complete lack of breathability. There was also a flammable warning on the packaging, which Amazon really ought to tell you about ahead of time. And they are definitely not kidding when they say slim fit. Thankfully, becoming a visible member of our community demands we do more than show off a noticeable fashion sense, more than appear at campus events in support of our friends. True visibility means having the audacity to share our full selves with others, to model what author Brené Brown calls the courage to show up and be seen. And it is absolutely right to suggest that committing to such visibility, committing to being seen, calls us to be brave. I have often struggled to be fully seen, particularly during my adolescence, betraying myself in an effort to comfortably fit in and belong. My senior year at Shadyside, the drama director at the time, who also happened to be my English teacher, begged me to try out for West Side Story, that year's winter musical. I think she even had a leading role picked out for me. Except for a critically acclaimed performance as a tree in a second grade play and my usual theatrics in class, I had never been part of any kind of musical or stage production before. And at that point, I dedicated most of my available time and energy to my small crew of friends, playing football and basketball, and doing my best in the classroom. So I didn't commit one way or another initially, although I was intrigued. That afternoon after football practice, still in most of my practice gear, I drove to Blockbuster Video. And children, I grew up at a time where if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to get in your car, drive 2 to 3 miles, walk into a store and talk to people, and then they had these shelves in the store, and there were limited copies of the movie, so you had to get there at the right time or else you couldn't see the movie. You would then rent the movie and only get it for 48 hours. You'd drive it home, watch it, and bring it back. And they had these things called VHS copies. They were like about this big, right? And they had videotape, and it was a long time ago. So I went to the Waterworks Mall, Blockbuster Video, and rented a VHS copy of the film version of West Side Story. I watched it twice that evening, and surprisingly, I was mesmerized by the whole thing. The score, the dance fighting, yes, dance fighting, and the transgressive, cross-cultural love story. It was all captivating. And I began imagining myself in some of the various roles. The next morning, as a kind of social trial balloon, I let a friend and teammate know I was considering auditioning. He laughed, not taking me seriously, and made a few sneering remarks about both my newfound ambition and our classmates who typically signed on for drama productions. A quarter century later, I wish I could tell you I ignored my friend's comments, cared less about what others might think, and brought the house down as Tony, Bernardo. I would have even taken Officer Krupke. But I unfortunately shrunk in response to my friend's comment in the hopes of fitting in and maintaining my social status quo. Months later, I was actually in the crowd attending the production, and I remember sinking lower and lower into my seat with each successive number, and the musical was marvelous, by the way. I sunk lower and lower, feeling guilt and regret for the opportunity missed and my cowardice in not allowing myself to be fully seen. And so here's the irony of the whole thing. Researchers like Brown have shown that fitting in is actually the opposite of belonging. Because true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It doesn't require you to spend your life performing and pretending. When you belong, you not only connect deeply with others, you do so in a way that is true to yourself and creates the conditions for care and love, the relationships that inspire the best kind of learning, and the trust and shared vulnerability at the heart of any healthy community. So do not make my mistake this school year. Dare yourself to be fully seen and trust that we will support you. I look forward to sharing the journey. Thank you.